Hello and welcome. I hope everybody is safe and well at home. My name is Eric, and today I'll be teaching you about the coast and us. So we'll be looking at human activity along the coastline. The lesson today comes from Unit 4.4 in your book. That's page 56 and 57. So we'll begin today by looking at 4 different coastlines. The first one is Shanghai in China. The second one, Chimbote in Peru. The third one is Dalian, also in China. And the fourth one is Norfolk in Virginia, USA. Each of these coastlines is special in its own way. Can you guess what makes each one special? Well, the first one, Shanghai, China. This is the busiest port in the world. That means they load and unload more cargo here than any other place in the world. How about Chimbote in Peru? Well, this place catches more fish than anywhere in the world. Dalian in China. Well, you can see from the picture, I'm sure you can guess, this is the world's most crowded beach. During the summer, up to 40,000 people visit this beach each day. And the last one, Norfolk, Virginia. This is the world's largest naval base. So this has the biggest navy in the world. So these are 4 examples of different ways humans use our coast. So our goals for today's lesson: we want to understand and appreciate the many different ways humans use the coast. We also want to understand how the coast influenced the growth of settlements and societies. So we'll be looking at our use of the coast in the past as well as the present. So here I have 8 pictures. Each one shows a different way we use the coast. And here I have 8 scrambled words. So I want you now to unscramble each of the words in the boxes and then match them to each picture. So pause the video for a few minutes, however long you need, and when you've got all the answers, we'll continue and check. Okay, if you've finished, let's check your answers. So the first picture, we see a house, a very nice house, built beside the sea. So one use of the coast is for homes. We like to build our homes with a sea view. In the second picture, picture B, what are these structures? Well, they are oil rigs. So a second use of the coast is oil drilling. We like to drill for the resource of oil on the coast. Picture C. We see large ships with containers. Another use of the coast is for ports. A port is a place where ships can come in and dock, and they load and unload their cargo containers. Picture D. This is a beautiful beach resort. So people like to have holidays beside the beach, so we build these hotels and resorts on the beach. Picture E. This boat is digging up material from the sea floor. Now you studied about this last year in rivers, dredging. So dredging means to dig material, sand, gravel from the sea floor, and we can use that material for construction, for building on the land. The next picture, F. What are these ships and helicopters doing? Well, this is the Navy, and their job is defense. They are defending the coastline. Picture G. Farming. Mountains tend to be inland, and then towards the coast we get more flat land. And the flat land is good for farming. So we find plenty of good farmland near the coast. And picture H, this one's quite obvious, fishing. So humans have for a long time taken advantage of the resource of food from the sea for fishing. So that is 8 different uses of the coast. In our book, we have 8 similar pictures. We're going to look at the your turn question now, question 1. So this picture shows some of our early ancestors choosing where they're going to live. There are lots of settlements along our coast, villages, towns, and cities. Many early settlers chose to settle on the coast. Why? Give as many reasons as you can. So in your notebook, you're going to draw a mind map to show why early settlers chose sites on the coast. What factors were they looking for in choosing a place to live? You can also add simple illustrations that will help you to remember your points later on. So your mind map will look something like this. Reasons for settling on the coast. Now remember, we're thinking about early settlers. The picture in the background is a modern settlement, but it didn't always look like this. So thousands of years ago, it was a much smaller settlement. What were the people who first lived here looking for? I'll give you one example to begin. Obviously, fishing. So we've always needed a source of food, and the ocean provides us with a valuable source of food. So our early settlers were looking for a place where they could fish. So pause the video now, try to add at least 6 more reasons, and then we'll continue the video and check. Okay, if you finished, let's see if you have some similar answers to me. The second reason I have is for trade. So humans have long needed to meet other people that they could trade goods with and make money. So boats were the only way we could travel in the past. Before we had no cars, we had no airplanes, so boats were an important way to move goods and trade. Which brings us to our next point, traveling by boat. So when we had no motors, no engines, no cars, no airplanes, the best way to travel long distances was by boat. So settlements were built along the coast to make traveling easier. Another reason we settled along the coast was to build defenses. It was important to defend our coast, so people had to live there to defend it. So we built defensive settlements along the coastline. This helped us to see any potential invaders coming and to fight off the invaders before they reached the land. Another reason is for a milder winter climate. The coastline tends to have a milder climate. That means it's a little bit cooler in summer and it's a little bit warmer in the winter. This is because the ocean heats up and cools down much slower than the land. It also may be warmed by an ocean current. Flat land for farming. So as I mentioned earlier, we usually have flatter land along the coast, so this is ideal for farming. And our early ancestors definitely needed somewhere to grow their crops and to raise their animals. And the final point I have here is for a nice view. Now, in the past, we had maybe a lot more important things to think about. But if all of your other needs are taken care of, if we have a food supply, if we have somewhere safe and comfortable to live, we would choose somewhere that looks nice too, rather than somewhere that doesn't have a nice view. Which of these reasons do people still look for if they settle on the coast today? In fact, all of these points are still important for us today. So here we have the 8 pictures from the previous slide. Now, in each picture, there are people at work, even if we don't see them in these photographs. Now, which of the photos could be used to illustrate the sectors below? We have primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. So again, you studied these last year. I'll just quickly remind you, primary means gathering materials from nature. Secondary means building, manufacturing, or processing. And tertiary means service. So again, pause the video and try to figure out which of these photos could be used to illustrate each sector. Okay, let's check your answers. So photo A, we have homes. Now, a home is not really a place of work. However, when they're building the home, we have a house builder who's building it. Also, some homes may be quite big, and people might employ cleaners, security guards, other workers in their home. So I put tertiary sector also. B. So we have an oil rig. We have people drilling from oil. So drilling oil is taking a resource from nature. So this is primary sector. C. We have a busy port with people loading and unloading cargo. These people are called dock workers. The dock is the part of the port where the ship sets its anchor and unloads or loads its cargo. And this is a service. So this is also the tertiary sector. Picture D, the resort. There's lots of jobs here. A resort will employ lots of people. We may have hotel workers. We'll have people working in the restaurant, in the bar. People working along the beach to keep it clean and provide services for people. And we'll also have a lifeguard protecting people while they swim. Picture E, dredging. So a dredger, somebody who dredges the material, they're taking something from nature. They're collecting the sand, the stones that we will use in building. So that's the primary sector. Picture F, working in defense in the Navy. Well, defending the country is definitely a service. So that is also the tertiary sector. Picture G, a farmer. Farmers grow crops and they raise animals. This is the primary sector. And finally, H, a fisherman is also working in the primary sector. They are gathering the fish from nature, so that is primary. So we only had one secondary sector here. Can you think of any other secondary sector jobs we might find along the coast, but I haven't illustrated here? Well, one could be a fish processor. So after those fish are caught, they're brought into the coast where they need to be processed. They're going to be prepared to be sold for food later. Another one is power plant work. So many power plants are found along the coast. We use the water from the sea in cooling. We also use it to create steam in power plants. So we've looked at the many ways we use the coast and the many ways the coast can help us. But are there any disadvantages of having a coastline? See how many you can think of. So in your notebook, make a list of any disadvantages you can think to living along the coast. So again, pause the video now, and when you have your answers, we'll check. Okay, if you've finished, let's see if you have some of the same disadvantages that I have listed here. First one I have is travel and transport. Travel and transport overseas are more difficult and expensive than traveling or transporting goods over land. This picture shows erosion. So the ocean waves will erode the coastline, and that can cause a lot of problems and dangers for us. Coastal flooding, and this is becoming a bigger problem with global warming as sea levels rise. Hurricanes and also tsunamis, depending on where you live. If you live beside the coast, you're at risk from big storms, hurricanes, typhoons. And also if you're in an area that suffers from undersea earthquakes, you may also be prone to tsunamis. So these are some of the disadvantages of living along the coastline. Okay, so let's review the main points from today's lesson. First of all, our ancestors often chose to settle along the coast for many reasons, including a source of fish, to be able to trade and transport by boat, to farm the flat land along the coast. There's also a milder climate along the coast, so that's more comfortable for us to live in, and also to defend against invaders. Today, people also like to live beside the coast for the nice view and for leisure activities. There are also many industries associated with the coast. They include fishing, shipping, tourism, oil drilling and refinery. Coastal areas may suffer from problems like rising sea levels, coastal erosion, frequent storms, and tsunamis in some parts of the world. In addition, transporting goods and traveling overseas are more difficult and expensive than traveling and transporting overland. So that is the end of today's lesson. Thank you for your attention. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.